going to get started. We have a full house today, and I love it. Good looking crew. I'm excited to see you guys. All right, who is excited for it to kind of be school time again, almost? Eh? Somewhat? No? I'm with you. I'm a summer girl. But I'll tell you the truth. I honestly love a little schedule when it comes time to start back. I'll be real with you. Even as mama teacher, I'm going to back y'all up just a little bit because I see I got you a little bit closer than usual. We've been doing some rearranging. There we go. And my upstairs kitchen is almost done. So before y'all know it, we're going to be having class upstairs. Okay, so I'm excited to see y'all. Today, our pasta lesson is going to be one of the things that I'm going to teach you that you will use in multiple different recipes. We're going to learn a lot of foundational principles that apply across the board that will allow you to become a cook who can use creativity, imagination, and just have those couple of skills in your pocket to kind of guide you. Because that's the whole idea of food. Yeah, we want to feed ourselves. Yeah, we want to get something yummy on the table, but it's an art, it's creativity. We've been gifted with creativity. Let it flow and let your family enjoy what it flowed through. So these skills are meant to give you tools to let you be creative. Whenever you send me a recipe and it's something I didn't teach you how to cook, you know what I feel in my heart? Yes, yes, because I know the skills that you've learned with me have given you the confidence to try something new. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a pasta dish where we're not going to cook our pasta separately from the sauce. So, the majority of our time together, we're going to be building a delicious sauce. I'm going to show you how to make the pasta have the most flavor and be the easiest way to get it all done with less dishes. And while the pasta is doing its thing, we're going to make a yummy salad. So to start, I'm going to get my heat going under my pan. And I'm going to do medium-high heat because I'm going to teach you how to build a pasta sauce. Now, Faith and Abby did this with me in Italian month many moons ago. But this is a foundational lesson that you need to know that all sauce is not just like this and on some noodles and add some ground beef and you get there. There are ways to make this go double as far and have double as much flavor just by knowing what to do with it. You could also take the method that I'm going to teach you right now and completely skip already made sauce and use just plain tomato sauce and bump up a little bit more herb and you still get that flavor. But I'm going to teach you the method that most of you will have the ingredients for, the way your pantries have been stocked. So I'm going to get medium-high heat underneath my pan, and I'm going to get a good 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of ground beef in there. This is 80-20 ground beef. I've talked many times about buying and saving and getting things when they're on sale. So basically what I did was this week, there was a beef sale at our local grocery store and I bought double what I needed for this week. I broke it down in 2-pound packs like this, and then I put it away, half in the freezer and half for my meals that I'm doing this week. One of my packs was with you guys in mind. I'm going to rinse my one hand. So basically, I got that good sale beef, and it's going to serve us for several weeks. Okay, so when you grow up and you're the one doing the grocery shopping, knowing things like that's really going to go a long way to help your budget. So we've got our beef in our pan. What also is going to go in at this point, we're going to do some onion at this point. And then after we get our onion in and those things start sauteing together, I want to show you how you build flavor. As you're taking notes, this is a crucial piece. The order matters. You have to get that beef in first. It's going to weep some of its fat, so I didn't have to add any extra oil. And once that has gotten some of its fat out, then I'm going to add my onion, and then we're going to build from there. So I suggest on your paper, do 1, 2, 3 as we're doing these steps. And if you need to add notes later on the other side, leave yourself a margin for that. I'm going to grab a wooden spoon really quick. And I want to tell y'all too, I got a fan for my kitchen and it is wonderful. I got a fan blowing on me this way that y'all can't see, and it just makes me a happy mama. I still didn't put the apron on today. That is a layer of heat I'm not willing to commit to when the sun's out in this place. Okay. I need my pockets though. I need almost like the men have a tool belt, just one of those little tiny aprons, so I can still have my pockets. Y'all don't want to know what ends up in Mama Whitten's apron pockets though. I mean, it's everything from toddler toys to lipstick to microphones for recording stuff to actually occasionally like a can opener. I mean, you just never, ever know. Okay, so I've got some sizzle on my meat, and now I'm ready to chop my onion. Notice I didn't mess with that the minute it went into the pot because it needed a little minute to do its thing before there was any point in even messing with moving it around. So this is going to get one onion. We are going to do a very basic dice on this onion because this is going to cook. We're not serving it raw. I've got my garbage bowl right here. Don't forget that saves you a step. And I'm going to take off my outside onion skin. And I want to tell y'all too, a lot of times when I build these sauces, I used to use a lot of bell pepper. I don't always use bell pepper anymore, but if you have a garden and you have that on hand, by all means, throw half a bell pepper or so in here. I say a bell pepper because the ones that we grow are like this big, but they're like in between right now. So no bell pepper today. Some of our girls don't love it. And they're like, what is this in my spaghetti? That's the thing about having toddlers. When the boys were eating it, nobody ever said a word about my bell peppers. But bell peppers would make a really good addition to this. I know my husband loved the one time that I did add a jalapeno in this, but we definitely wouldn't have little ones eating that under these circumstances. Okay, so this is my basic marinara. My ragu is what it's called. You use marinara for it. And marinara just basically is your flavored tomato sauce. Ragu is the built slow and low sauce with the mixture of marinara, tomatoes, vegetables, and meat. That's what makes the word ragu. I did actually think of a fun idea, and I almost did it today, but I figured I would make an announcement so you would know it's coming. And I'm going to start throwing out culinary quizzes. Just randomly during the class call. And it'll be something that I've taught you in the last week surrounding this lesson, like the week prior, from last week, week before, that kind of thing. So y'all get ready to be paying attention. I might throw out a culinary quiz. Like cooking school meets Jeopardy. All right. My girls love to watch cooking game shows. And it's so exciting to me that we have moved into that territory where I don't have to watch just cartoons. I can occasionally watch something that I enjoy too. Okay, so we've got our meat going and our one onion in my pot. Now, the next thing, the very next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get my oregano or my Italian seasoning in here. The reason I'm doing that is because we want to wake up the flavor. This has been in a jar for a little while. It's kind of been asleep. We need to take it and we need to get it on the heat first so it has the time in the pan with the high heat contact on the bottom to really wake up the flavor. If we put this just in the sauce portion at the end, you're not going to achieve the amount of flavor that you would get out of this much. You're going to have to use twice as much. So getting it in here now, and see if I rub it between my hands, that even assists me further. Getting it in here now gives it the time on the high heat to really make the most flavor impact. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to get in here is my tomato paste. And it's for the same reason. We don't want this having to get broken down in the sauce. It'll get lost in there and you'll have to find it with a whisk and like you're looking for something in a swimming pool. Like you want to know this is going in and you want to get it broken down and mixed into your meat at this point. Now, I would say this, if you wanted to add any kind of other vegetables to this, carrot, celery, great. You can boost the onion. My goodness, I'm looking at y'all and I can't do a can opener at the same time. Let me watch this can opener, open my can, and then we will talk a little bit further. Okay, maybe I can talk and not look at you, but look at the can. Here we go. Now, we're in business. I don't even remember what I was saying. Okay. I remember, you can use any veggies that you want in this. You can boost this veggie content by double if you want to. You can put in all veggies, sub in a little pack of mushrooms, just chop them down real good. And this could be a really good vegetarian option. Those mushrooms, I would get a baby bell of and just really chop them, maybe even in the food processor. Start them like you would meat in the beginning and don't salt them first because we haven't salted this yet. Don't salt them first. And you would just do mushrooms until they have gotten really good browning and then continue with all your other veggies and add the tomatoes like we're doing here. That's how that would go. So my tomato paste is going in. This is the right tool for getting tomato paste out. This is the tool. Anytime that you are going in here, you're going to want to go around and it's going to get all of the tomato paste out with this. It reaches the bottom better than a spoon. And if you have excess on your knife, I just do this. Let me show you real close. I do like this. It catches it right there. And then you can scoop that little bit out. Little tiny things. Like I said before, I have little tiny things I don't even know that live in here. Like that. Okay, so we're going to work this completely into our meat mixer. I haven't added any liquid to this point. And we're starting to get really good and brown on the bottom. So my liquid, my first liquid that I'm going to introduce here is diced tomatoes. Now, the order, like I said, matters. The reason we're doing diced tomatoes here is this has to break down some. It's going to offer its flavor to the sauce in such a way that it's going to concentrate the tomato flavor by getting it into this point and then break down the tomatoes and to incorporate them into the sauce. So you're not getting a huge chunk of tomatoes in your mouth. And now we are going to add in the next ingredient. We do not have a lot of liquid in here. I'm going to turn my heat down to about medium low because you never want to have high heat when you add in your tomato sauce or your marinara. So at this point, you can use canned tomato sauce. And if you did that, I would add in an extra tablespoon of garlic and an extra tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Or this is a tip I was going to tell you. If you're in a pinch and you just have tomato sauce, but you've got pesto on hand, you can put a couple tablespoons of pesto in your tomato sauce and you've got tomato basil marinara, FYI, okay? Easy peasy. So I calmed my heat down at this point. So this is low and slow simmer now. I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to scrape the bottom of my pan because we know those brown bits have a lot of flavor. Before we go any further, I'm going to do some seasonings. I'm going to do a good tablespoon of salt here. This is a lot of spaghetti sauce. This is also going to season your pasta, so don't skimp on your seasoning here. So I'm going to go tablespoon of salt, and then I'm going to do, where did I put that? I've got garlic and onion. I know I have it out. There it is. Tablespoon of garlic powder. And a tablespoon of onion powder. Then I'm going to stir this up. If you want to add red pepper flakes here, that's delicious. You can add a few red pepper flakes. I like a couple of cracks, as you know, of about half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of freshly cracked black pepper. And if you want a little kick, but you don't want it outrageous, a little pinch, quarter teaspoon, half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, it's not going to light you on fire. It's just going to give you a little kick in the background. Okay, I'm going to stir that in, and then my marinara is going to go in. This marinara is not going to get all out of the jar by itself. So I take my marinara, I dump it out, and always put water in your jar. At least about 1/4 of a cup of water, because this is going to reduce some more. And you're going to see in a minute that we are going to add even more liquid because of the process that we're using. But this is just if you're making the sauce. Get all of it out, okay? There's that. Now, stir, stir, and I'm going to come let you look at this in just regular sauce form. Don't pay attention to the shrapnel of tiny bits of Italian seasoning or oregano on my stove. Okay, so that's it in regular sauce form. That's the look that you're going for. That thickness, low, slow bubble. You notice nothing popped up on me when I put it in the pan. So this is how we get to regular sauce. Now, what's special about this is we are going to cook our pasta in the sauce. So our pasta is going to taste like our whole dish. So at this point, because I know I'm about to add the pasta, I'm going to add a couple more cups of water. But because I'm seasoning this sauce to season my pasta, knowing in my head, I'm also going to add either a couple of tablespoons of beef base or an additional couple of tablespoons or a couple of teaspoons of salt. So at this point, I would, with 2 cups of water, add in 2 exact tablespoons of beef base or 2 teaspoons of salt. So I'm going to go 1, 2 of salt, and that's for my pasta water. And then I'm going to stir my pasta into the pot. This is a total departure from anything that you've learned. I know. But this will save you so much time, and it gives you more flavorful pasta. Here is a good trick. If you don't want to do this on your stove top, at this point, you can take your sauce, your pasta, put it in a casserole dish, put over a whole box of chicken broth or beef broth, cover it tightly with foil, and bake it in the oven. And it will come out with the pasta done. You top it with cheese, put it back in uncovered, and you're in business. So that's the baked version of what we're doing right here. So all of my pasta went in. This version is still a one-pot situation. It's just the stovetop version. But the casserole version serves a crowd. I'm telling you guys, here's a little history. Here's a story time with Mama. Long time ago, not so long ago, about 2 years ago, for about 5 years, I cooked our dinners for our youth group every Wednesday night. So I would cook for 30 plus youth, and that's a lot of food when we're talking hungry high schoolers that come straight from football and all the other athletic practices. And I would do that baked pasta trick, and I could feed a massive army of children with that easy trick. So keep that in mind if you grow up and you have to feed a crowd, okay? So all of my pasta is in. This is what it looks like now. See that? Pasta is totally stirred in. What I'm going to do now at this point is my heat is on medium low. I'm going to make sure this doesn't come up above like a basic simmer that's occasionally a bubble. So I'm going to put my lid on it. You got to be careful. I've told you this, but you're not going to have the crazy overflow because this isn't a rolling boil. We literally have this on a number 2.5 of my heat. Okay, I go up to an 8, low, 2, up to 8 is high, so I'm at 2.5. Okay, so now we have to do 2 things. I'm going to grate some cheese for the top, but first I'm going to make this salad. Now this salad is a little bit of a throwback to Richard's side of the family, but it's kind of tweaked for my version. So I want to teach you something really quick. This week, I went on Monday morning to the grocery store. This is a head of iceberg lettuce. I got 2 of these for 99 cents. A typical head of lettuce is about $1.50 to $2, depending on where you shop. So the outer leaves are not as pretty as they once were, and it had one little bad spot on the bottom. So I bought that for 99 cents, 2 heads of lettuce. I bought 4 big tomatoes bundled with jalapeno peppers and limes for 99 cents. And I bought 2 or 3 big bundles of bananas together bundled for 99 cents. The amount of groceries that I walked out of that place with for about $7, $8 after tax, it was a mound of produce. And you know what I did? I planned what we're doing this week around that produce, both at home. For my girl's birthday party that was Wednesday, we had taco night because the budget made sense to get salsa stuff and have taco night with that ground beef on sale that we just talked about and that big pack of jalapenos and tomatoes. So pay attention to your grocery store. It's going to teach you a thing or two if you'll look at the sales. Okay, so I got my lettuce cord, and this is a shaved salad that my mother-in-law made up the dressing for. And my husband just says, Mama's salad. Okay, I'll make Mama's salad. This is lettuce, onions, and tomatoes. And it's got a little dressing that she does with vinegar and sugar. And I'm like, vinegar and sugar, whoever would have thought? But I'm going to shave this iceberg into little ribbons because that's just how she always did it. This is basically the way I would shave it for taco night, more or less. And once we get our veggies chopped, I'm going to make the dressing and show you how easy it is. Now, this salad is not only for pasta night. Richard loves this salad with fried chicken, with pork chops, with baked chicken. We have this with barbecue. He'll just look at me and say, we hadn't had Mama's salad in a while, have we? Okay, noted. It's time for Mama's salad. Okay, so I'm gonna get a bowl before I get ahead of myself. We definitely don't have room on the cutting board for all this lettuce. Iceberg grows once you start chopping it, trust me. Just like cabbage and collard greens. All right, here we go. Pulling your fingers under. This is called a chiffonade. Anytime you cut something in ribbons, it's a chiffonade. If you have big leaves like basil or something like that, or big spinach leaves, you stack together and roll them up. But lettuce is already sort of stacked together just in itself. So it's a chiffonade of already stacked lettuce. Okay, that looks good. That was almost a whole head of lettuce, but I would say about 4 cups of lettuce is exactly what you need. All right, and then we're going to shave half of an onion. Do I have any of y'all that do the vegetarian thing, or all y'all meat eaters? Meat eaters across the board? Yeah, yeah. Okay, take turns and go across and tell me your favorite protein while I'm slicing onions. Okay.
I love ground beef. That's probably one of my favorites, like just to add to like different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like ground beef too. Unlike steak and stuff.
Steak it is. Red meat it is at the Coatsler house. Okay, Ash, what about you, babe? What's your go-to protein?
I really like steak. I don't know.
Y'all are some cattle eating folks. I should have known. Okay. Moses, Addie, what y'all got? What y'all think?
I can go for some good chicken breast.
Chicken breast. That's my dude. Okay, let's do some chicken breast recipes. All
I
right.
was gonna say chicken too.
Okay, so I've got partial poultry over here in Alabama with me, and then I've got my Texas lovely friends that are cattle folks all the way. So as long as I don't cook y'all anything fish, then we are clear for takeoff. I almost taught y'all salmon cakes. Y'all would have been happy about that.
Maybe they wouldn't, but I'm down for that any day.
You are?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do a salmon cake shortcut supper. My boys ate so many salmon cakes growing up. I'll tell you another little story. I'm going to take some grape tomatoes. These are just grape tomatoes, and I'm going to quarter these. So that's just what I'm doing. I did half an onion with my 4 cups of iceberg, and I'm going to quarter half a pint of cherry tomatoes. Okay, so my very first job where I got paid all the time to cook, I was a private chef. I had a little family that hired me. Funniest thing, Anna was their nanny. Those of you who know my sister-in-law, Anna was their nanny, and I was their private chef. And I cooked every meal that those people ate that they didn't like go out for a date in a restaurant. So I would go in on Monday, and they would have gone to the grocery store, Publix or Costco that weekend, and bought everything that they wanted to eat, like protein wise, vegetable wise, and all that. I would come in Monday morning like an episode of Chopped, never knowing what was in the basket. So I would walk into the house like with my game face on, more or less, my good knife in my hand, and let's go. Like my go-to few spices I couldn't live without, and it was just game time. And one of the things, very rarely did she ever ask for anything, because most of the time she was just like, do what you would do with this stuff. But she loved salmon cakes and chicken salad. So I would make salmon cakes and chicken salad in addition to whatever else there was every single week. And so we got to a point that my family was like, I don't even want to talk about a salmon cake. I don't want to smell a salmon cake. And I'm like, I love salmon cakes. The foodie in me's just like, keep bringing me some salmon cakes. But we did have to go on a break. But it was such a good experience for me. And I think it's why I love to teach so much, because I constantly learned during that process, and it made it fun. And I want you to be able to walk into any food situation and be able to put your game face on and say, what am I working with here? Because literally, like when you have a family, sometimes you got to open the sale paper and you got to see what's in your budget to make sense and say, what are we working with here? This is what we're going to eat this week based on what the grocery store has picked for us. So it was good training for me, number one. But I mean, to really have a chance to walk in and pretend you're on Chopped every week, it keeps you on your toes. Have y'all all seen the Chopped show to know what I'm talking about? Yes, 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 yes. Abby, basically Chopped is when you're a chef, there is a mystery basket of ingredients and you're competing against 3 other chefs, and you open this basket and there's 3 rounds, appetizer, entree, dessert. You open your basket with 4 mystery ingredients in it, and you have to use all 4 ingredients. You can add other stuff, but you have to use those 4. So that's why I say it's like being on Chopped, because I had to use the proteins and I had to use the vegetables. I could add anything else I wanted to, but if she decided that week she wanted sea bass, I was making sea bass. That's how I learned to cook salmon for the first time, because Mr. Whitten does not eat fish very much, and she was a salmon lover. And so I walk up into this place as a new cook, more or less, and she wants salmon. And here I am going, here we go. So I know how to cook it really good now. All right, so our salad dressing is going to come together really quickly. We're going to get a little bit of sugar. Get a little bit of it. Oh, no, I'm going to get some vinegar. I told y'all I've been rearranging and I just need to stop. Oh, here it is. Vinegar, sugar. And you know this is out of the ordinary for me because I'm not usually a sugar girl. And a little bit of olive oil. Now, my mother-in-law does this 2 ways. This is her Italian version. There is also a American version that basically starts like this, and the only difference with oil is it goes mayonnaise. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes Mr. Richard says, I want mama salad, and it's a creamy dressing. Sometimes it's a vinaigrette, but the only swap is oil for mayo, okay? So we're gonna get a little jar. We're gonna shake together some dressing. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna get a tablespoon measure, because, just checking on my pasta real quick. I'm gonna get a tablespoon measure because I do not believe in dumping sugar out of a jar into your hand. I mean, maybe I learned that the hard way. Tablespoon of sugar. Okay. And you can use red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar, whatever you want to for this. I'm going to go 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Okay. I'm going to go a good teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to do a good half teaspoon of pepper. Now, at this point, you could put in 1/4 of a cup of mayonnaise, and you would be done with the creamy version of this dressing. But because we're doing the Italian version of this dressing, I'm going to go with a teaspoon of oregano. You can also use Italian seasoning, and a good sub for this is also that jarred pesto if you don't have your dried. Teaspoon of oregano. And then I'm going to do 1/4 of a cup of oil. This is avocado oil. You can use olive oil. But like I said, you do mayonnaise at this point before the Italian seasoning, and you've got basically a really good homemade ranch with a little kick to it in the background. Just a creamy, simple dressing. It's really easy. And what the dressing does with the sugar in it and the salt and the vinegar, it starts to break down the iceberg, and it makes it a lot more tender, but still crisp. And so it continues to make more dressing in the bottom of the bowl. So I'm going to pour this. This kind of marinates for a few minutes, and we're going to totally pour it. I mean, this is a technique. I'm going to pour it. I almost did it so fast and didn't tell you. All the way around the outside of the bowl. I'm not pouring on top. And then once it gets all the way around the outside of the bowl, I'm going to turn it under, swooping it beside the bowl, on the side of the bowl to collect the dressing. That way it'll evenly get distributed without making it soggy. If you wanted to, you could do this on a different kind of salad that didn't need to marinate. You can put the dressing around the outside of the bowl, not toss it until you're ready to serve, cover it, and it would be fine in the fridge for a couple hours. So if you're ever doing anything ahead of time, you can do it that way. So I'm going to just ring the rim of the bowl. And then before I toss it, because we season every layer, I always season my vegetables. My vegetables get a little attention. Never, ever, don't forget to season your veggies. And then a little crack of pepper. This is your best chance to season them. All right, now let's turn this under. This has me like getting Olive Garden vibes. See, so I'm just scooping it against the side of the bowl. This isn't throw all the way back to the 90s. This is an Italian month because there's a lot of American stuff happening in here, but this hits a lot of boxes, I think, across the board for a lot of you folks that like some yummy, yummy pasta dishes. And we hadn't done a pasta in a while. And some meat. All right. The presentation on this is gorgeous, but I'm just going to show you how pretty that is. See that glistening that the dressing does? And it smells amazing. So fresh. Okay. Now I'm going to grate some cheese, but before I grate my cheese, I want to see where my pasta is in the process. I'm going to take my lid off so it doesn't waft you in the face, and then I'll bring you over to show you. So before I even stir it, I want to show you what it looks like. Come on over here. See, we're just bubbling along. A few of the noodles are peeking out at the top. You can tell the sauce has gotten thick, and that's the goal. Like you're wanting to return the sauce back to sauce consistency. The pasta, though, is going to have this really rich orange hue. And it's going to at least have another 2 or 3 minutes. So perfect amount of time for me to grate some cheese. It's going to have this orange hue because you worked so hard on that sauce, and now your pasta's cooked in that sauce, and everything's going to taste its best way. This way just gives your pasta dish the best odds of being a winner. Okay, so I'm going to put my lid back on my little jar. I didn't leave any, but if you want to double this recipe, this stays good in your jar for a month in the fridge. So I suggest we are in our family I teach shortcuts. I teach grocery store swaps all the time. But in our family, we're doing a lot more of those simple homemade tricks. There are things that you can do that take forever. Like I just don't have time to make sourdough. My sister-in-law does that for our family, praise the Lord. But these small swaps, these little salad dressing swaps and little snack swaps, they make a big difference. So I suggest make your dressing at home. Okay, so I'm gonna grate, and you see, I don't buy the grated cheese all the time either. In a pinch I do, but grating your own cheese is the best texture, and it's probably gonna be the best for you based on what we're learning about what they put on the outside of these boogers. So I'm gonna grate about 2 cups of cheese. I bought the big block, so if I had to have this block whole, it would be a fourth of the block. This is mozzarella. And I want you to see do you see how floppy this is? It's been on my counter for a few minutes. If you keep this in the freezer up until go time, this will be a little bit easier to grate for you. And watch your fingers. I did get a new grater. This is a new grater. There's just some things I got tired of running from one end of the house to the other. Okay, that should be good. And look at there, 2 cups of cheese. If you go to the top, I think is what it measures for you. Woo! Okay, cheese fountain. And then I've got some grated parm. Obviously, I buy this in bulk. Grated parm. So we're gonna go over the top of this with some mozzarella. If you were gonna do this in the oven, this is the point where you would uncover, put your cheese layer on. I would do it at 400 degrees. Put your cheese layer on, then put it back in for about 10 more minutes. All said and done, if you're doing the oven version, I would say it's a 30 to 35 minute deal. The covered portion is about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then there's a 10 little cheesy layer time, okay? So I'm gonna uncover this. We're gonna put our cheese over the top. And the first half of the cheese is immediately going to start melting down into your sauce. That's fine. We want it to have that. So I'm going to leave a little bit out. We're going to stir in the first little half of cheese. This is just the way that I do it if it's stovetop, because that gives a little creamy factor. Okay. Then I'm going to put the other part of my cheese on top. And Abby or Faith, or maybe even Elijah remembers this. When we do a cheesy layer, what do we do on the top of that cheesy layer? Do we let cheese be cheese, or do we do something to it? Somebody tell me from Texas.
We do something, but I forgot what it was.
Season your cheese.
Right, yes.
Your cheese layer deserves attention just like everything else. So whenever we have a cheese layer, if I was, again, doing this in the oven, you're going to put your thing in the oven with your cheese on top. Why not sprinkle a little Italian seasoning or garlic powder on that and make it taste like the top of garlic bread? That's a good opportunity to season. Don't miss that chance. So I'm going to sprinkle some Parmesan on top of the very top layer. Then I'm going to put in a little Italian seasoning. Cover it just for a very short minute or two to let it, oh, there it is, to let it melt fully, and then we're going to taste and be in business. If I had not added Parmesan cheese there, which is a very salty component, you could have added a little sprinkling of salt at that moment to help that cheese layer have flavor. Mozzarella is wonderful because mozzarella is that cheese pull cheese. You get the creamy, you get the gooey, but it's not the most flavorful cheese in your grocery store or your dairy department. It's going to offer the cheesy pull factor, but you're going to need to pair that with Parmesan cheese and some seasonings to get the flavor factor bumped up. So while I'm fixing my plate with my salad on it, I'm going to cover that up. Y'all, I just realized I grated my hand on that grater. It doesn't hurt until I touch something salty. Be careful, your graters are nice too. Okay, let me get a big plate. I'm hungry today, and this is one of my favorite things. Okay, it's not too bad, y'all. I barely felt it. Okay, so salad first. This salad, I would say you could let it marinate. I would say let it marinate for about 30 minutes. But this is one of those that you could serve, like I said, with almost anything. If you want to, a really good crouton would be good on here. I always take the ends of really good bread. If I have a sourdough or if I have a good garlic loaf, I take whatever's left after we've done it, chop that up. If it's plain bread, I just put some olive oil, garlic powder, salt, and parsley on it, and I toast that. And that's regular garlic croutons, just without going to the store. I've had people walk in my house and say, "Will you make me some croutons?" And that's all I do to them: olive oil, garlic, salt, and parsley. And I've had a teenager sit with, this is the bowl. This is the bowl. I made this many croutons one day, and I had one of our teenagers, not my child, a child's friend, sit and eat a bowl of croutons at my house. I've also had one eat 14 pork chops in his stay with us. It was not all at once, but it was one evening and one morning. Okay, so here we go. This is going to be the time to look at the top, because this is what it looks like in the pot. You see those? It's almost like the top of lasagna. And really, it's the flavors of lasagna sort of deconstructed. So you might want to remember that. This sauce goes into lasagna just like anything else. Okay, so I'm going to get it out. Y'all, turn my heat off because we don't want to keep my pasta cooking. We want it to pause. This helps you not overcook your pasta because you easily get to al dente without having to put it back in sauce and cook again. It won't hurt a thing to serve this with some garlic bread. And look at the cheese. Can y'all see there? There's a string. There is a string. This wouldn't hurt a thing to serve it with some garlic bread. Then I'm going to put a little extra Parmesan on top. It's 1,000 degrees. So I'm going to say that maybe I need to taste the salad and not the pasta. But here you go. Actually, I'm going to bring you to it because if I sit that sideways, it'll fall down. Look at that, y'all. Winner, winner, pasta dinner. Now, we're here. While my bite's cool, I'm going to taste the salad. But while my pasta bite's cool, I want y'all to ask me any questions you might have.
For the dressing, to make it like the American version, how much mayo would you put in, and would you still put the olive oil in?
No, so it's a swap, and it's an even Steven swap. So I did 1/4 of a cup for that amount. I did 1/4 of a cup of olive oil. I would do 1/4 of a cup of mayo. Okay. Now that is a consistency preference. If you want it a little bit thicker, you can do 1/2 of a cup of mayo for that amount. That's more like your thick ranch situation. The thinner is more along the lines of like a creamy, thin, like, you know, there's some pizza places. Have you been to Cece's? Do you know how thin their ranch is and it just kind of drips? Not a gloss.
I've seen ranch like that, yeah.
Yes. So the thin ranch consistency, that's where the 1/4 cup of mayo will land you. And the 1/2 cup will land you more like a Hidden Valley ranch consistency. So it's all your preference. The only thing I would do is once you do it, if you do it the mayonnaise version, taste it at the end. You may want to tweak the salt ever so slightly if you use a 1/2 cup and add a little bit extra. But it's a swap. Italian is the olive oil or avocado oil. American is the mayo.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else have any questions? No. Okay. So, a couple things I want to remind you. I said it last week. I don't know if anybody remembered to do it in the replay. And I told you, the ones that were with me last week, we got some really good equipment thanks to the Martin family. I have a great light now. And I wanted to do a really good recording for you guys last week. This is going to be the best recording and the first of the future. Last week, I had the girls the first half of the day, and it was a little much. So we're not going to call that the first of the future. This is going to be the first of the future, and the replays being higher quality. But what I wanted to tell you guys, I did say it last week. If you don't have a pantry staple guide in your hand, a printed out pantry staple guide, the link that we did a long time ago, that's fine. That's just a list you can look at on your phone. But as a student in Mama Whitten's kitchen, I want you to have your pantry staple guide in your hand. If you don't have that, message me in the community and let me know. Another thing is next week, I'm going to start asking the culinary quiz about something that we talked about in the week or two beforehand. So that's going to be an incentive to do two things: to revisit the meal and actually make it so it's fresh on your mind, and to go back and make some other stuff that we've recently done so you can practice it before it gets way back in your memory. Okay. The third thing is this. I was contemplating doing a little 3 or 4 week series on breakfast, and I wanted to see what y'all's feelings were about learning breakfast things like biscuits and gravy, perfect eggs, both fried, scrambled, poached, and otherwise. Y'all just tell me yay or nay. You don't have to vote all at once, but I think I'm leaning towards teaching you something that's a different meal of the day, and breakfast is a heavy hitter in our house. I literally make breakfast all day, every day when my big boys are home, and they would eat, I mean, literally, they'd eat breakfast for dinner every night. So I'm thinking about doing a breakfast series in the next few weeks, starting that. So if y'all like that idea, most of you, wave at me. If you want to message me separately and put in specific requests, breakfasty requests, y'all can put that in the community. So just keep an eye on the community and let me know if you need a pantry staple guide, okay? All right. I'm so happy to see all you sweet kiddos in here. And we're going to have fun like it's summer all year long. So let's just pretend the rest of the world's doing what they're doing, and we're just going to have fun in the kitchen, okay? I'll see you guys next week, okay?
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. Bye. Bye, Moses.